Is that your smoking gun? Is that your smoking gun, Jessica? Because you said that was a smoking gun. If money went from overseas directly into Joe Biden's bank account. If a check comes out at some point from that avenue, is that a smoking gun?
Okay. So two things.
Yes or no?
No.
Yes or no?
It's
no,
not
it's
yes
not.
or no.
It's not. Whoa. Jessica, for a year you said, oh, well, the money never hit his bank account. What if I have a check that hits his bank account that comes from overseas?
Okay, so
is that not a smoking gun?
Okay. Is he in elected office and did he do something about it? So that check, that 2018 check, when he was not doing anything except hanging around and there was an explanation for it. So if you get a check and then you can connect that to an action that he took.
Oh, no, now it's an action that he took.
That has always
now
been
it's just an action that he took. Because before you said none of the money from overseas went into his checking account. So now it's an action.
You are yelling and there is no reason for it.
There's reason.
No,
I was promised a smoking gun, and if I deliver a smoking gun, you have to admit that gun is smoking.
Give me a break. Of course they're gonna subpoena Hunter, but you know what's so special about the loan check that went from James to Joe? Repayment of a loan. Prove to me it was a loan. I want to see the loan document. I want to know what the interest was. I want to know the payment schedule. I want to know what would happen, if there were a penalty. Is there a prepayment penalty? I mean, 2001 fell swoop. Hey, that just reads repayment of a loan. That doesn't mean anything.
Are Jesse Waters and Judge Jeanine okay? Here, the Fox hosts are melting down over the abject failure of the latest effort to attack Joe Biden. And that's because the latest attack boils down to this. Joe Biden loaned a family member money and had it repaid in 2018 when he was neither in office nor a candidate for office. That's it. That's the crime. That's the smoking gun. That's what Republicans have found after 8 months of nonstop investigations. Joe Biden committed the crime of loaning a family member cash and then having it repaid as a private citizen. And if some of you watching have done the same, whatever you do, don't let a Republican politician or a Fox News host find out. Because apparently, while they're perfectly fine with insurrections, they draw the line at lending family members money. And if you wanted just a small sampling of how doomed this effort to make a mountain out of a molehill this whole smoking gun check is, here's Jamie Raskin and Jared Moskowitz during our recent interviews.
So here we go. Here's the story. I'm going to do the story even quicker than you just did it. Two brothers loan each other money. They pay it back. Not in office. End of story. One brother gives one brother money. The other brother pays it back. No one is elected at all. They're both private citizens. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, it could be this. It could be that. We think it's this. We think that. No evidence. We're back to the same thing. Listen, James, this is your friend Jared talking to you. Don't make me continue to embarrass you in committee. I mean, I'll bring the board again. I'll start drawing things. Okay. Don't make me do it. Like I actually feel bad when I make you look like a fool because I'm just exposing what you're doing in committee. And by the way, you don't listen to me. Even the Republicans that serve with you on committee, they think you're a jackass. They've told me that because you've embarrassed not just yourself, you've embarrassed them. That impeachment hearing was embarrassing. Your own witness said there wasn't any evidence. So do yourself a favor, take a breath, right? And don't come to don't have a new hearing over two brothers loaning each other money when nobody was in office. And that's my the more you know, James.
Well, Brian, we thought they'd given the whole thing up after the first impeachment hearing, when their own witnesses testified that there was not remotely sufficient evidence to justify an impeachment. They didn't even see evidence of a crime, much less an impeachable offense. So now they come back with this huge stack of bank records. And the most that they can pull out of it is that Joe Biden repaid a bank loan that his brother got. That's not a crime. That's not an offense. If anything, that's being a good brother. He's helping his family members out. The folly continues. Some reporter said to me today on the way in, do you think if you guys agreed to have an acting speaker pro tem, you would demand that they end their impeachment inquiry towards Joe Biden. And I said, we'd be doing them a favor at that point. They should be asking us if they can end it, because it makes them look utterly absurd and ridiculous.
And of course, this whole Biden check nothing burger comes on the heels of what was somehow an even bigger failure, which was the Oversight Committee's first, and likely last, impeachment inquiry hearing against Joe Biden, where there was so little proof of wrongdoing by Biden that even the Republicans' own witnesses came out and poured cold water all over their plan.
And then it was just 3 years ago that another impeachment occurred without any hearings at all. The shortening intervals between impeachments should be a cause of concern and circumspection for all the members on both sides. And I want to emphasize what it is that we're here today for. This is a question of an impeachment inquiry. It is not a vote on articles of impeachment. In fact, I do not believe that the current evidence would support articles of impeachment. That is something that an inquiry has to establish.
When even Jonathan Turley, who defended Trump during his impeachment, comes out and says that Republicans have presented no evidence for this whole sham process, you know that James Comer and Jim Jordan and the rest of the GOP have truly lost the plot. But of course, at the end of the day, this isn't about facts and is solely about the narrative. Republicans' goal here is to manipulate their own supporters into thinking that Joe Biden has done something wrong, and so they'll introduce tenuous claims, knowing full well that the inevitable fact checks and debunkings won't ever make their way onto Fox News. It is an entire ecosystem predicated on tricking the very people who trust them. Although for a party led by professional con men, I guess we shouldn't really be surprised. And by the way, this should go without saying, but the notion that Republicans might actually be able to present themselves as giving half a shit about law and order is completely, wholly undermined by their continued groveling at the feet of a guy who is currently contending with 91 criminal charges in 4 different jurisdictions. I mean, my God, they can't even bring themselves to condemn him for inciting an insurrection against our own government, and yet they want us to believe that they're on some noble crusade against crime. I'm sorry, but give me a fucking break. So they may continue this sham impeachment inquiry process, if only because they have no shame, but otherwise the embarrassment might actually be enough to make them rethink their actions. And maybe, instead of cooking up bogus crimes to attack Joe Biden for, they might consider actually doing something to garner support among Americans. I know, how is that for a novel idea? Although given what we know about today's GOP, that's likely the last thing we could ever expect. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.